You might have seen this next posture on TVs and movies. Warrior pose is definitely a fan favorite. Oh yeah. The first time I started doing warrior pose, I really struggled with my flexibility and balance. This was the first really big test for me as a yoga practitioner and even becoming an instructor to figure out the right way to position my feet, where to turn my hips, how to place my hands, my point of focus. There was a lot of work that I needed to do to really find my footing into doing warrior position. So don't be surprised if it takes you a bit of time to really figure out how to do warrior pose. And remember, there's a lot of different types of warrior pose. This is just one. Up on the screen, you're going to see a figure where I have the model doing warrior one, and we're going to go ahead and break this down and analyze kind of what's going on here. So let's go ahead and take a great look. And remember, don't be intimidated by this posture. You can do it. You really can. It's really not that hard. It is something that might take you a little bit of time and work. Let's dive in. So you can see the model here has her back leg turned out. This is kind of at a right angle compared to the front leg. What you're going to notice here is this is going to help stability. Then you're going to rotate your hips towards that front knee. So you look at her right knee. She's got the front foot facing forward. Toes are facing forward, the same direction of her nose, her chin. Necessarily, her eyes really is subjective. You see the model here is looking up. We're going to go into that in a minute. But for the most part, she's comfortable, which is perfect. That's exactly what we want. We want you to be comfortable. Again, don't fall for the tricks of trying to look just like the model. Don't fall for that. You want to be in comfort first and foremost, which is the most important portion of this. Now, this back leg is going to be turned out. That's where the stability comes from. You can kind of plant yourself there. Then you can bend down that front knee as much as you feel comfortable with, which is a lot of fun. It really is something I like to do, and it keeps me in support. This is where I really start to feel a little bit of a lunge and a stretch, and I feel like I'm working out. I feel like I'm moving my body a little bit. It makes me feel active. If you're an athlete in any regard or someone that just likes to move, this is something that you're probably going to dig into and really enjoy. Let's go back and keep talking about what's happening here. Now let's look at the mid body. Those hips are now squared up. As much as possible, you're going to rotate those hips towards that front knee. When you rotate the hips towards the front knee like this, it's going to square up your posture a little bit. It's going to help align you, and it's also going to help your stability. If you can't do this yet, don't worry about it. Breathe and do the best you can. I'm going to ask that you make these movements on a breath. Try not to make the movements, please, when you're not breathing. It's okay if you do. It's not the end of the world. It's really not that big of a deal if you don't. But it's better for you to move on a breath. That's the way you can do it to protect yourself. Perfect. That's what we want for you most, is full protection while you're doing these postures. If you're keeping an eye on what you're doing with these postures, then you have my recommendation. That is very smart. You want to do your best to minimize injury and risk to hurting yourself. These are possible in yoga, even though it's very rare for you to get a big time injury in different forms of yoga that are like restorative or yoga nidra. They still can happen. As you go up to higher levels like yin yoga and what we're seeing here of warrior, which you're going to see a lot more in hatha yoga, vinyasa yoga, and power yoga, the chance of injury and risk go up a little bit higher. So make sure you're doing your best to your best ability to minimize any potential risks from doing yoga that can be too engaging for you. So this means making it a priority to put your health and your well-being in the forefront of your yoga practice. And if this is a new concept for you, don't worry too much. A good instructor will help you with this. That's literally our job. Also, if you like what you're seeing and getting good feedback and getting good information, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and more importantly to me, leave a comment so we can continue to be a community together and help you with any of your needs. Let's go ahead and go right back into our model right here. Let's look now at the upper body. What are the arms doing? Now, this is the main difference between Warrior 1 and Warrior 2. The arms are going to be going upward. This is great because it's going to lift up your back and your shoulder girdle. This is also going to get your shoulders engaged. It's going to be a safe way to take those fingers and point them up. There's going to be a lot of movement in your body, a lot of circulation, blood flow, and oxygen moving here. Go ahead and breathe when you're doing this. I'm going to ask that you inhale as you move the arms up. Now, for some people, they're going to do all this in one movement. They're going to take that front leg, bring it out, take the back leg, get the stability, square up the hips. Arms are going to go up in one movement, all on one inhale or exhale, preferably an inhale if you're getting into this within a sun salutation or in the midst of a pose because you're doing all of that action. When you exhale and breathe, that oxygen is going to flow down your entire body, which is great. Almost like a compound workout when you're doing like an Olympic squat or bench press, you're going to feel that flow of energy. We call it chi in some cultures. For the sake of what I'm going to diagram it, it's going to be the breath. You're going to feel the oxygen and the circulation moving through you. This is really healthy and a good way for you to not only get the stretch, but also get the oxygen that goes along with the stretch. This is something I highly recommend. If you need to do it in about 2 or 3 rotations, stop where you are, exhale, inhale, continue your transition into the next part of the posture. Again, take your time.
Yes.
There's really no rush. Go ahead and try to do it your best on the first inhale. If you can't, do it on 2 inhales, 3 inhales. Make sure you're doing your exhales. Just hands up, inhale, stop if you need to, exhale, inhale again. Continue on with what you're doing. That's going to be one of the easiest ways for you to continue doing these postures. Let's go ahead and full screen it again. Let's look at the head here. Now, the head actually looking up at the fingers, we call districity, the point of focus. You'll notice that in some of my earlier videos I talk about this. That is something that's a little bit more advanced. You're going to see the neck be engaged a little bit more. There's not a ton of yoga postures that you can do necessarily for the neck safely that you can do right away. This is one that I do recommend. If you feel it, you can do this. I wouldn't recommend doing this on the first warrior. Chances are if you're doing warriors, you might be doing them multiple times. Sometimes you will do them just one time in a sequence if it's hatha or whatnot. But if you're going to be doing warrior for a while, anywhere from 30 breaths, which can be up to about 2.5 minutes, then I would suggest looking straight ahead as time continues. Inhale and exhale. As you're doing those additional breaths, that's when you're going to take your neck and start looking upward. The same with the hands. The hands don't have to be clasped together. They can be just straight up. So you're seeing that with the model, that the hands are clasped together. They don't have to be clasped together. They can be really just straight up. So it really just depends on how you're feeling that day, where you are in the practice. If you're really warmed up, then this is a great thing for you to do. If you're not warmed up, then just kind of hang tight and do it whatever feels good for you. There's really no right or wrong way to do this. And most importantly, it really should feel good for you. Try not to do anything that's going to be painful or hurt you. So if you keep these things in mind, you should have a good experience with Warrior. I'm really looking forward to you telling me about your experience. So please, again, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe, like the video, leave a comment. Make sure you let us know how Warrior's working out for you. If it's going really well for you, if it's something you struggle with, let us know. We can maybe help. I have some free information in our newsletter, so make sure you sign up for that as well. We'll be back with more postures. Feel free to leave in the comments if you have a request. I would definitely love to break that down. I've seen almost every look at almost every yoga posture, so I'm really looking forward to breaking down some of these postures for you going forward. Until next time.